What's up, YouTube? Welcome to another episode on this YouTube channel. Please do to like, comment, and subscribe. And today we're gonna talking about support and resistance. So let me just clearly shout out. After we discuss on support and resistance, then we would we'll delve deep, or we'll talk about the trades I took this week. Actually, today is Thursday, so I don't think I'm gonna take any trades in next week because today is the last day of the month, and just gonna waste it probably next week before executing any trade. So let's talk about support and resistance. The support and resistance is quite simple. You just something like this. Let's say this is a chart, right? And on the chart we have markets is moving this way, right? So we can say that this is an uptrend. And let's say for example markets did something like this, um, giving us series of lows and highs and lower lows and highs. Markets came back to this point and reverses and started buying again. Market got to this point, same thing follows. The market reverses again. So what are we gonna call this point? We're gonna call this point support. So I'm gonna be quite fast on this stuff, right? Support. Call this support. Let's reduce this a bit. Right. Then upon this level where market is reacting from, we can call this a resistance. Sorry, alright, okay. So we can call this point a resistance. So support and resistance are technical analysis whereby we mark out in the markets when we tend to see multiple rejection in the market. Support and resistance is also a strategy on its own. Right, market gets to this point, then from that, what are we gonna expect? Market starts selling all the way to the downside. Why are we going to sell all the way to the downside of this level? Is because of what we've seen at this point here. Market came, resisted, came back, resisted, came back, resisted, came back. So now if we're to like take a trade from this point, I would have loved to sell from this level. The reason why I would have loved to sell from this level is because I'm seeing the previous price action. The market, anytime market gets to that point, market tend to reverse. Then if I'm to like buy from, I would want to wait market for market to come to this level. Give me a market structure pattern. Then I'll be looking for a way to long, probably from this point here. Looking for a way to long. Stop loss are somewhere here. Then I would want market. Sorry, no, no, this one. Then I would want to target this resistance. Then I would want market to do whatever it wants to do, start playing out, and until it gets to my take profits. That is simple support and resistance strategy, right? So now there's something we also see. We see something like this. Let's say this is our level, right? Market came, tapped this point, then reverses, right? The market did same thing, tap this point again, and reverses. The market came, did same thing, tap this point. Instead of the market to tap and reverse, market broke through it. The market came back to retest this point and start buying all the way to the upside. This this called is support. So a resistance turns support. This is a resistance that later became a support level. Why? Because markets came all the way to this point. Yeah. The aftermarket coming all the way to this point, market came, reacted off this level. Then upon the same level the one spin market to react from, market broke it, came back to retest and start buying all the way to the upside. So we can call this a resistance turn support. We also have the opposite of it where this is the resistance turn support. Here support turn resistance. That's somewhere here coming. Sorry. So we have a support level here. The market started buying all the way to the upside. The market came back to that same level, bought all the way to the upside. The market came that same level. Now the idea is for market to come and start buying. Then what the market do? Market broke the level, came back, retest that point, and started selling. Now what are we going to call this? This is support turn resistance, right? I'm going to call this one support. We're going to call this one support turn resistance. Now, the idea to it is if market is given this kind of structure whereby resistance turn support and support turn resistance, how can we get a valid support and resistance, or how can we trade with support and resistance? That is where we're heading to right now. So how can we trade, or how can we get a valid support and resistance to trade with? First of all, knowing the directional bias of your market, of directional bias of the market, right? So let's say for example, now we know that from the higher time frame, we anticipate we take our directions from the higher time frame because higher time frame tend to last longer in the chart than the lower time frame. So now let's say for example, these are charts, right? And from the higher time frame, market is giving us series of an uptrend. You see this is an uptrend, whatever. The market came back to same support and still giving us an multiple chart pattern. So now this is the higher time frame, right? This higher time frame. So now yeah, we anticipate now what are we expecting market to do from now? We know that for this whole structure here, the market has given us an high low. Market came back to that same support. Now we can mark this level as a valid level. Why? Because we know that from the higher time frame, the market structure is telling us that the market is bullish. So what are we going to do? We're going to just probably wait until market gets to that level, give us market structure again, and we buy all the way to the upside. Now we're trading supports and resistance based on the current market structure. On this point, if we're to like sell this market, we would have looking to wait for market to like tap a resistance level where we'll be looking to like short the market. But to be on a valid side, we should be looking for more of support level at this point. Why? Because we're trading in line with the directional bias of the market. That's what makes a support valid or a resistance valid, and that's how you can trade support and resistance on the chart. So now we're going to go to the live chart and we're going to use same explanation to trade the market. So I'm just going to remove all the joints and let's go to the live chart, right? All right, so now this is good because I trade good, right? Now on the 4 hours time frame, let's do our analysis. Now on the 4 hours time frame, what are we seeing from this level? Let me just zoom it out. So on the 4 hours time frame, what are we seeing? We can see that from this level here, from this level, remember we talked about support on resistance. From this level, market reacted. You can see from this point, the market supported this level. Then upon buying all the way to this upside, market came. So we're waiting for like a support on this level. But what the market did, the market broke out this level. The market came back and supported this, resisted this point actually. So we can see this structure. This is called a support turn resistance, right, from the 4 hours time frame. And upon that same support turn resistance, we can see that market has been reacting multiple times on that same level, reacting multiple times on that same level, showing us that this support that has literally turned a resistance is very much valid. And why is this valid? Why? Because gold is on a downtrend. The structure is giving us that the market is very much bearish. So what are we looking for? We're looking to sell the market. Why? With our support slash resistance point, right? So now from the higher time frame, it has given us confirmation that okay, this market is bearish. So what are we going to do? The next thing, we're going to look for resistance points, point the market has tapped several times. The one thing about gold is the fact that gold is a kind of structure that market doesn't necessarily or does not always go to like a resistance point most at times. But we can see this point now. Remember, we're looking to sell the market. Why? Because the directional bias of the market is telling us that the market is very much bearish. So now what am I seeing at this level here? So I can probably see this level as a what? As a support level. This is a support level, right? Let's mark it like this. So now this is sorry. So now this is a support level. Here market has supported all the way to this downs, all the way to this point. And we can see mark at this level also. These are weekend gap actually. So we can see mark at this level as a resistance point. Upon the resistance point, you can see the way market goes to that resistance point and starts selling all the way to the downside. Now, because we know that the market is very much bearish and the higher time frame is telling us that the market is bearish, so we should be looking for a sell opportunity whereby we need to get a resistance or a break of a support, whereby we can call a support on resistance. So upon this level, we can see that this market goes to this point here. Upon this whole movement, market broke this structure. From this level, we could literally take a sell from this point here. Stop loss maybe above the resistance point or the previous high to be on a safer side. Then you can do one to two on it. Or if you trade based on structure and everything, you can just target this probably this low. And you can see hold your trade for a while. Take profit or smack. But this is gonna take a very, very long time, right? Why? Let's say you're a scalper, for example. Now, because me, I do scalp the market most of the times, and I want to like sell from or buy from this structure, right? So now, upon this level, we can see that market gave us an eye, right? I mark out this my own level as a resistance. So now the idea to it is that anytime market gets to that resistance and give me the strategy that I trade with, the chart pattern and whatever I want to trade with, I should look for to sell the market. Why am I selling the market? Because the market is very much bearish. Now upon this level, I saw the market. I can do one to two risk to reward if you're a risk to reward trader. But if you trade based on structure and depending on the strategy that you trade with, you can just target this previous low. Why? Because the market is very much bearish. So that's literally how support and resistance work. The reason why we're going to be using more of resistance on this point is because the market is very, very much bearish. So what I tend to do most of the times if I want to trade support and resistance on the charts, I like marking out my resistance from the 15 minutes time frame. And let's take one more example. Now we have this resistance point here. These are our resistance point here. Then we can see that upon this resistance point, market came, tapped our resistance, and what are we going to do? Of that resistance point, we're going to short stop loss at the previous high, the take profit recent low of the market. Market came back again. Same distance, let's increase the same distance resisted. Upon this one, we can see mark out a resistance on the structure. Market came, resisted, and we can see the sells off this level. We can see this support level actually. We can actually turn this to a support turn resistance. Sorry. You can see upon this support level, market has been supporting it, and guess what market did? Boom, market broke this support. And what are we going to do? Sell, stop loss at this high. Then you target as much risk to reward you do trade with. So this is literally how to trade based on support and resistance with the market structure. So this is literally support and resistance. Now let me show you guys what I did this week, trade I took this week on gold. So I'm going to go to the lower time frame. So all my execution, all my entries were from the 3 minutes time frame actually. So these were the trades that we took. We actually had missed entries, but I deleted it because it was missed entries and market has already passed. So this was the market opening, right? It was the market opening. Here we took this sell from. We did 1:7 on this one. Then we also did this one So now you'll be wondering, how was I able to catch this setup? I used advanced support and resistance, whereby I mark out my support and resistance level from the candlestick instead of zones. That's the reason how I was able to catch this setup. Did this one to 10. Then market did its own magic, played out. Then I was able to catch this one with a friend of mine actually. We did this one to 12. Then after that we had missed entries, couple of missed entries. We did this one at night. Then this is one that we are in at the moment. This is a 1 to 22 hour actually. So I'm actually looking for a re-entry. But like I said earlier, I'm just going to wait till probably next week. But we actually close this trade at this point here. This is what you'll close the trade from at this point here. I'm still anticipating market to sell all the way to the downside. Why? Because the market structure, everything is giving me bearish movement. So if you want to learn how to trade the way I do trade, because we're literally also in a boot camp, and you want to learn advanced support and resistance, so you can be able to catch setup like this. I'm gonna drop my WhatsApp number at the screen here, so you can kindly message me on WhatsApp and let's get started. So do it to like, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel and share this video. Stay blessed.